Underfoot, The Gutter King, Book 1, Chapter 12, The Render House. The tallow door opened on an iron token and 3 words.
Tallow keeps the light?
Ben said to the grill, in the flat, bored voice of a man delivering freight, and the man behind the grill looked at the token and the hooded gutter buck holding it and the rope led in Scab's hand and saw exactly what he had been told to expect. The merchandise walking in on its own feet. The door swung, and Ben walked into the smell. He had been braced for it since the culling pit. He'd thought, with a paramedic's grim vanity, that there was no version of rendered death his nose hadn't already met. He was wrong. The render house smelled like tallow and copper and boiled bone. Yes, but underneath ran something else, something his vital sight confirmed before his mind could refuse it. The walls themselves held a thin gray residue of ember, the way a cold stove holds heat. Life had been unmade here in such quantity for so long that the building had a pulse of its own, a dying one, forever. "Save the reckoning," said the cold, still place. "Count the doors, count the guards, find Fen." 2 guards at the door, 1 at the vat floor, half asleep on a stool between the great iron kettles. A clerk in the counting room with a lamp and a ledger, and in the long back hall, behind bars meant for stray dogs, 11 embers, low and banked and alive, alive. The cages were stacked too high. The live ones lay still in the way Ben had learned in the pit. The discipline of creatures who know that thrashing brings attention. Ratkin, most of them. 2 kobolds. 1 old gutter doe with a splinted arm someone inside had set for her, which told Ben everything about who these people were to each other, even here, even now. Fen he knew without asking. Scab's squint, Scab's quick eyes, in a face gone gaunt as a ledger margin. She saw her brother holding a rope lead behind a hooded stranger, and her ember did something Ben had never watched an ember do. It flared and cracked at once, hope and horror in the same beat, because she was a tally-keeper's sister, and she could count what a rope lead meant.
No.
Ben said quietly, pushing back the hood, letting her see the needle already palmed against the cage lock.
Other way around. He sold them to us.
What happened in the next quarter hour happened the way the rope walk had happened, fast, planned, and nothing like clean. The sleeping guard woke to Tusk's silhouette and elected, with visible wisdom, to stay on the floor. The counting room clerk reached for a bell pull, and Dark's parting agreed that Ben had never been standing anywhere else, and the bell pull ended the evening unpulled, and the clerk netted to his own chair. Cage locks surrendered one by one to needle and wire. Rill's trade taught through bars in a whisper 11 times. The vat floor they crossed last, the freed walking single file with their eyes fixed forward, past the great kettles and the cooling racks where amber came off in coin-sized drops. VD Ruby, the fashion of the guild terraces, the tonic in the white sealed letters, the thirst that had priced Purge Week in silver for live ones, laid out here in its whole industrial banality, racks and ladles and mops. Ben took the counting room's ledger. He took the clerk's lamp to read it by later, and he was reaching for the wax-sealed correspondence drawer when the ember he hadn't been watching for came down the stairs. Master Devane was not what the word alchemist had promised. No robes, no reek of reagents, a neat, pale, well-fed man in a nightshirt and slippers, spectacles pushed up on his forehead, annoyed as a landlord at a noise complaint, until he saw the open cages, the netted clerk, and the small gray buck standing in his counting room with his ledger under one arm. For a breath, nobody moved. Ben's eyes read the man against every horror in this house and found the true one. The ember was ordinary, unremarkable, a man like 10,000 men who slept upstairs from this smell without dreaming and had simply never once been made to count what it cost.
"You're him,"
Devane said, "Wonder of all things." He fumbled, not for a weapon, for his spectacles.
"The Outworlder. Do you have any idea what your blood is?"
Tusk's spear half took the drawer-side table out from under the man's reaching hand. A warning, not a blow. And Devane did what soft men do. He bolted upstairs, shrieking a name that was presumably a bodyguard's, and the knight's careful clock died with the sound.
Out.
Ben roared and the render house emptied the other way. 11 freed, 2 Warren's escorts, 1 traitor and his sister, while Tusk, on Ben's word, put the clerk's lamp into the cooling racks, where a season's worth of rendered amber met a flame with opinions. They came up out of the tallow door into blue-black night with the fire already talking behind them, and scattered into the seams of the city, and the last thing Ben saw over his shoulder was the render house's windows waking up gold. The only honest light, he thought, the place had ever made.
Level up, you are now level 12. Level up, you are now level 13.
Deed witnessed, he counted what the house would not. The Covenant assigns this no value. You may have noticed the pattern. Below the bottom of the world, someone is laughing. This is rarer than you know.
Fen ate her first bowl of Warren soup with both hands and her back to a wall she could trust. And partway through it, without a word, Scab crossed the fire and sat on the stone beside her. And she looked at him. The brother who had sold 9 strangers trying to buy her, the arithmetic of which she would learn soon and carry forever, and put her head on his traitor's shoulder, and the Warren which had voted to let him live, watched and permitted it. Mara stood beside Ben at the fire's edge with the render house ledger open in her paws. She couldn't read it. She held it anyway, the way you hold a caught thing.
Quotas.
Ben said quietly, translating down the columns.
9 years of them. Live weight prices. Names of catcher captains paid off the guild's books. Vance's isn't one of them. He's too clean or too careful. And here...
His claw stopped on the wax impression at the bottom of the standing order. The same crest, page after page. A bird he didn't know with a key in its beak.
The buyer. Every drop of that tonic, every cage, one house's coin. The letters upstairs would have named it plain. The fire has them now.
A bird with a key.
Mara's clouded eyes had gone flat.
There'll be a name for that bird, topside. Your apothecary girl will know it on sight.
I know.
Ben said, and the thought of taking this cages and vats and coin-crested paper through the bars to Sarah Voss at the Great Market sat in his chest in a way he declined, professionally, to examine at this hour. The bells rang the quarter, far above. Not the long bells. Not yet. 2 days of Purge Week left, one render house burning like a signature on the guild's night, and somewhere up there a careful man was being woken with the news. Hob Vance stood in the render house's smoking doorway, an hour before dawn, in the ruin of the season's prophet, and read the scene the way other men read scripture. Nets, Warren made, mooring rope, beautiful work. His agent, alive, folded neatly into his own wire, eyes promising the kind of testimony that ended careers. Cages open, not forced, picked. The fire set not in rage, but in the one room where fire erased a ledger's friends. Nothing wasted, nothing gloated. The whole night conducted like, he searched honestly for the word, standing in the smoke, and found it and disliked it very much. Like triage,
Captain,
his lieutenant said, careful, from the street.
the Boneway push. The crews are asking. Dawn after next, still.
Vance turned the flat iron token over in his glove. They'd left it in the door for him, which was itself a message, and he was a man who respected postage. The guild would scream. Duvane's patron would do worse than scream. White-sealed letters did not enjoy smoke. 40 crews, smoke carts, dogs, quotas. The machine wanted feeding, and the machine had just been made to look like a fool by something 4 feet tall that a paper called merchandise.
Cancel the push.
Hob Vance said. His lieutenant blinked.
Captain,
You don't send crews into tunnels that plan like that. You'll feed it a company a week, and it'll send you back the buckles.
He pocketed the token and looked down at the street grate by his boots, at the dark under the city that had spent 9 years being arithmetic and had abruptly become an author.
Send to the guild hall, and send to the House of the Bird and Key. They'll want to hear it from a man who's seen the work.
He smiled entirely without anger, which was the most frightening thing his lieutenant had watched him do in 6 years of service.
The mender wants to negotiate,
He said,
so we'll negotiate. Get my coat. I'm going down myself.